Shabbat Shalom. My name is YAH. I'm with Savior Word of YAH Tabernacles of the Congregation of Yisrael. Thy kingdom come, Yah's kingdom cometh. And I'm here with my brother Kased Yashara. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. How's it going?
All praises, all praises. So we thank the Father for a wonderful feast of unleavened bread week and a wonderful Passover. We got to fellowship with many of our congregation and family members. So it was awesome. Some of our family members observed different days, but we were still able to come together and observe the days as we have on our calendar. So before we get started, I want to go over a few things. One thing we definitely have to talk about is something that's going on right now. I guess a marker. So we all been going through this past several years with the so-called pandemic. Well, while we're sitting here focusing on Russia and focusing on Will and Jada and all that foolishness, the federal courts overturned the ban on the mandate for the stick. So now federal workers under Biden are now required and mandated to get that stick. So that passed quietly. I'm gonna go ahead and share the article real quick. This is in the New York Times. So federal appeals court upholds Biden's vaccine mandate for federal workers. So that's in the Times Magazine newspaper. So on April 7th, the federal appeals court on Thursday reversed a decision that blocked the White House from requiring federal workers to be vaccinated against COVID-19. In September, President Biden said that the vast majority of federal workers had to be vaccinated or they would face disciplinary measures. But a preliminary injunction instated in January by a federal judge in Texas stopped the Biden administration from enforcing the mandate. So in a 2-1 vote, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit ruled that the judge in Texas, Jeffrey Brown, did not have the jurisdiction to block the mandate. So you can read the rest of that article. We posted it on Israelites Gathering. But basically, you see what's going on. They are forcing this issue back again, this so-called stick. So they're starting with the federal workers and they're opening that back up. So we can expect that to flow down to the larger corporations and then eventually just period. So definitely keep your family in prayers that have to work for these federal jobs or these government jobs, because they're going to be faced with the decision. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they pushing this on federal workers? I mean, quietly, when for the masses, it almost feels like, COVID is over. You know what I'm saying? So why would they be pushing this for the federal workers?
Absolutely. Well, there's some dark science behind what's in this vaccine, what's in the stick. And that's something that we've talked about. You want to look up spike proteins. That's something you want to definitely look at. The effects of this stick, you can't even call it a vaccine because it's not. It doesn't prevent you from getting it. But the stick has side effects that's causing problems. And for whatever reason, they're pushing that agenda. So we have our speculations. But all we know is we need to be vigilant. We need to be aware of why they're still pushing it and just be ready, be prepared to be independent, because it all comes back down to what we discussed. The mandate for our time right now is Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves, O nation, not desired. So we got to come together and be prepared for these man-made mandates that they're pushing forward and whatever agenda that they have. All right. So the next thing we want to discuss real quick is the elephant in the room. We know that so-called Easter Sunday is coming up. So many of our family members are going to be coming in town, and they're going to be celebrating Easter and this and their little pagan festivities. By now we all know that it's a pagan festival. So we're just going to get into a little bit of facts on Easter, just so we know what we're dealing with. So if you do have your family members around, you can share some information with them. So I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia on Easter. Let me go ahead and share this. All right, here we go. All right, so here we have Easter. So this is just Wikipedia giving us a breakdown of what Easter is, which is supposed to be Resurrection Sunday. They have their Good Friday, supposedly when he died, and he rose on Sunday. So we know that doesn't add up. But we do understand that he did rise on the first day of the week. So if we go over here and just look at the etymology of Easter, it says a modern English term Easter, cognate with modern Dutch Ooster, or Old English word that appears in the form Eastrum, or Eestre or Eostre. So that's where it comes from, Eestre or Eastre. And it says here that it's translated in Abedi's time as a Paschal month, which was an English month corresponding to April, which was once called after a goddess of theirs named Eestre. So that's where Easter came from. Easter came from this pagan god right here, Eostre. So if we look at Eostre, we see here it's also known as Ostara. We look at this picture here, we see some familiar things here. Look, we see this little bunny jumping in the background. And this is Ostara or Eestre. The goddess flies through the heavens surrounded by Roman-inspired putty, beams of light, and animals. Germanic people look up at the goddess from the realm below. So this is your Easter right here. This pagan god right here with the bunnies, because this was a fertility god. The bunny is supposed to be a very fertile animal that likes to reproduce, does it a lot. And that's what those white suits were for, and those eggs. They plant the eggs, and the children, which are like the little snakes, the little sperms, go looking for the egg. So those are fertility goddess pagan rituals. So that's where your Easter comes from. Now they say that this has to do with his resurrection. Well, the Most High YAH, who planned this whole thing, came up with a day for his resurrection. And that's what we're going to get into. We're going to look at the Messiah's death, his resurrection, and his ascension timeline. We're going to look at it in the scriptures, in the good news, in the New Testament, and we're going to see and follow the calendar and see how he was fulfilling these holy days in the actions that he was doing. What we're also going to see is that he had two separate calendars going on. There was two separate calendars going on while he was fulfilling prophecy. So let's open up. Let's go to Matthew chapter 26. Matthew chapter 26. All right, let me pull it up on the screen. right, so we're going to go to Matthew chapter 26, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
And it came to pass, when Yeshua had finished all these sayings, he said unto his disciples, you know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be impaled.
Okay. So he's saying, you know that after 2 days is the feast of Pesach, and the Son of Man is betrayed to be crucified, tortured. So the actual feast of Pesach is the 15th. That's when you actually eat the feast. That's the first day of unleavened bread. So that would mean his statement right now that he just made in verse 2 lets you know that on the true calendar, it would be Abib 13. It would be the 13th day of the first month, because 2 days later is the feast, which is the 15th of Abib. So I'm going to pull something up real quick. We're going to go through this slowly, and I have a little timeline, a graphical timeline that we can look at that we're going to follow so that we can track this timeline. And we're going to see that there's two timelines going on. Why is Yahweh Shai keeping a different Passover than the Yahudim? All right, so here we have a little graph that we have on our website that you can go to saveyourwordofyah.org, go into the study section under the prints, and you can get this. So this will be a Babylon Tuesday. All right, on a Babylon Tuesday, he's saying in 2 days is Passover. All right, so 2 days. 2 days is Pesach. All right, so that's Matthew 26 and verse 2. All right, so let's go back to the scripts. All right, go ahead.
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 3. Then assembled together the chief priests and the scribes and the elders of the people unto the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and consulted that they might take Yeshua by subtlety, and kill him. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people.
Okay, so this is the 13th, Abib 13th, the true Abib 13th. And they're saying, well, we can't take him on the feast day. So we're going to have to take him before the 15th, which will be the preparation day, which is the 14th. All right, Tamshi.
Verse 6. Now when Yeshua was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yeshua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman? For she has wrought a good work upon me. For you have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that she has poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this good news shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman has done, be told for a memorial of her.
So of course, Yehudis, being that he over the money, he like, yo, that's money coming out of my pocket because I'm stealing. So he's seeing that they're taking this and doing this good deed for Yahweh Shai. He jealous because he want control of that money. But Yahweh Shai is checking him and saying, look, this is a special moment. I'm being prepared to do a sacrifice. you're going to have the poor with you every day. Every day, you know, if you're unable to help the poor today because you got to do a very important thing, you don't not do the important very thing to help the poor that day, because at the end of the day, they're going to be poor the day after and the day before. You help them. But if you got to do something that you will never have an opportunity to do again, you got to handle that important thing. Verse 14.
Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priests and said unto them, what will you give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they covenanted with him for 30 pieces of silver. And from that time he sought opportunity to betray him. Now the first day of the feast was of unleavened bread. The disciples came to Yeshua, saying unto him, where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover?
All right, so verse 17. Now the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahushua, saying unto him, where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Pesach? So this is the preparation day. This is the 14th now, because remember, he said in 2 days is the Passover feast. So now this is the first day, which is the 14th. 14th of Abib, which is Pesach. In between the 14th and 15th is when the Passover rituals take place. So we're in the preparation day. So we're going to see this preparation day. Hold your spot right there. Let's go to Mark 15 and 42. So we're following a timeline here. And before we read Mark 15 and 42, I'm going to pull up the graphic once more. All right, so we're Abib 13th. He says, in 2 days is going to be the Passover festival. So here it goes, the 13th, the 14th, and then the 15th. So keep in mind, the 14th at even starts the 15th. So you have two calendars going on. You got their calendar and you got what's really going on. In 2 days is the Pesach. All right, so Mark 15 and verse 42.
Okay. Mark 15 and verse 42. And now when the even was come, because it was the preparation, that is the day before the Shabbat.
All right, so you can stop right there. So that's all I wanted to show right there, is that the day before the Sabbathon is the preparation day. So when he's saying, where should we go to prepare the Passover, that's the day before the Passover feast. So that's the 14th. So we go back to Matthew chapter 26 and pick up where we left off. So start at verse 17 again.
Okay, Matthew chapter 26 and verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahushua, saying unto him, where will you that we prepare for you to eat the Passover? And he said, go into the city to such a man and say unto him, the master says, my time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at your house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Yahushua had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover. Now when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, verily I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Master, is it I? And he answered and said, he that dips his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. The Son of Man goes as it is written of him, But woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It has been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Yehudas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, You have said.
Okay, so
And as
they
they were,
you have said. So he knew who was going to betray him, and he witnessed against himself. Is it I? Yeah, you said it. But if you go back up to verse 20, Matthew 26 and 20, they said on 17, say, where should we go keep the Pesach? Where do we go prepare? So that's the daytime. Then now you have the even in verse 20. Now the even was come. He sat down with the 12. So that means the next day is coming now. So now he's sitting down. So now he's in the true Abib 15, the true first day of unleavened bread. But the rest of Israel is not keeping Passover. They're a couple days behind. So he's following a different calendar than the Sanhedrin were following at this time. So this is the same thing that's going on right now to this very day. You have the Jewish calendar where you got them keeping Passover right now. And then you have the true Enochian calendar, which Yahushua is following, which he's dropping clues like saying, is there not 12 hours in a day? Well, 12 hours in a day happens on your equinox, right before you have your new year. So he's dropping little clues. We know a day is a longer than 12 hours. He's talking about a daytime portion. So there's two calendars going on. The even has come. It is now the true Abib 15, and Yahushua is keeping the Pesach. So who's got the right calendar? The Son, the Word in flesh, the only begotten Son of the Most High YAH, or the Sanhedrin that has an Edomite king and has a priesthood that's profaning constantly. All right, let's move on. Let's go to where we stopped at verse 25.
We stopped. Yeah, verse 25.
Okay, pick up at verse 26.
And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is of my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink you all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins.
All right, so where people don't understand, in verse 28, it says, for this is my blood of the New Testament. Testament just means covenant. It's the same thing. Let's look it up. Let's go to the Strong's. Testament is G1242 in the Greek. Diatheke, and that's from G1303, properly a disposition. That is a contract, especially divisory will, covenant. So he's saying this is the blood of the new covenant, which is shed for many for the remission of sin. So he's telling you this is the new covenant. This is the new contract, how you are forgiven for your sins, not the blood of an animal. That was the original covenant that we made. We had the blood of an animal to atone. Now, his blood, his sacrifice will be our new atonement for the remission of sins. Now, the real cutting of the lamb or the sacrifice and the blood, that didn't cause any remission of sins. But this is supposed to cause remission of sins when we consider that a man, a perfect man, died so that we could have the opportunity to not die in our sins and truly learn a true repentance and get right with the Father. Tamshi?
Matthew chapter 26 and verse 29. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom.
Nazarite vow. So he's basically confirming a Nazarite vow.
Verse 30. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then said Yahushua unto them, all you shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you unto Galilee. Peter, Kepha answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of you, yet will I never be offended.
And that's us. We the modern day Kephas. Yeah, we have it in us. Oh, I would never turn my back on Mashiach. If I was there, I wouldn't have been one of those people saying, impale him. I'd have been like, no, that's wrong. Well, what do we do now when our life isn't on the line? Well, maybe our pride is on the line or our money is on the line. Yeah, we don't know him then. We turn our backs on him then. So we got to be real careful. The flesh is willing. The flesh is weak. The spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. We got to always remember that. So that's how we stay humble.
Verse 34. Yahushua said unto him, verily I say unto you, that this night before the cock crow, you shall deny me thrice. Kepha said unto him, though I should die with you, yet will I not deny you. Likewise, also said all the disciples.
All right, so he's got all these little prophecies going on. He's saying, you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crow. I got one in my neighborhood. Every morning when I'm getting ready to get out and go do some work, I hear that cock crowing in the background. So we know that's the morning. So he had the feast at night. That's the true Abib 15th. And Yahushua is saying at the actual feast, Kepha, you going to deny me before the morning starts of that same night. So this same night, you talking about how much you going to die with me, you going to deny me 3 times. So Yahushua is giving this timeline, but he's also giving us markers. So we know the story. So when the cock does crow, it's letting you know that's still within that same time, that same calendar day of the true Abib 15th. Tamshi?
Matthew chapter 26, verse 36. Then came Yahushua with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit you here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Kepha and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then said he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry you here and watch with me.
All right, so Yahushua was a real man. He wasn't just some floating spirit around here. He had real feelings, real emotions. He had fear. He was scared to death. Now, this is a man that's never known death. This is a man that has been a God his entire existence, ever since he was created, the first creation. And now he has this spirit that's in the flesh, and he has to decide, do I serve the Father by doing his will, even though I'm exceedingly sorrowful and I'm heavy? But this is what the true son does. This is the example. Verse 39.
And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.
Your will be done. So this is the example. This is what we do when our soul is exceedingly sorrowful unto death, when we're very, very heavy, you don't go drink, you don't go smoke, you don't go have relations, you don't go get in a fight. You hit your knees and you pray and you go to the Father, say, well, you allowing this, Father. So if it be possible, is there another way? But not because of me, but because of your will. Your will be done. And you can't lose like that, because that's truly serving the Father. It's not about what you want or what benefits you. It's what benefits his will. And his will is always righteousness. Kamshi?
Verse 40. And he came up to the disciples and found them asleep, and said unto Kepha, what, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Right. And that's the quote that I butchered earlier. So the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Guess what? That's the design. You ain't finna change that. If you got a minivan, you're not finna make that into a NASCAR. It ain't built for that. So the flesh is weak. So we have to be mindful of that and try to stay in the spirit, because verse 40 is going to confirm exactly what's going to happen to you in your time. When you exceedingly sorrowful and you're scared and stay up with me, pray with me, folk going to sleep. This is your trial. This is time for you to be between you and the Father in your little private place where you can hear that still voice, where the Father can tell you, you're not alone. Do your part. You're not alone.
Verse 41. You want me to skip to 43?
42, excuse me.
He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, your will be done."
All right. So the second time, he's not coming here trying to change the Father's mind again. He's saying, look, I repent again. I know I came down here to do this. That's the whole reason I came here, is to do this so that I can bring in this new covenant with my people. So he said, look, if there's no other way, your will be done.
Verse 43. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then came he to his disciples and said unto them, Sleep on now and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that does betray me. And while he yet spake, lo, Yehudas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Yahushua and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Yahushua said unto him, Friend, wherefore are you come? Then came they and laid hands on Yahushua and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew a sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear.
So that's Kepha. We see in another account that was Kepha. He had it. You know, he's gung-ho, but he doesn't realize what he's doing.
Okay, verse 52. Then said Yahushua unto him, Put up again your sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Think you that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be?
So the scriptures have to be fulfilled. So he is the word in flesh. So if he's the word in flesh, he has to go according to the word. And Isaiah 53 breaks down that he must bear our iniquity. His stripes we are healed. So this was already ordained from in the garden. So the scriptures must be fulfilled. Verse 55.
In that same hour said Yahushua to the multitudes, are you come out as against a thief with swords and stave for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him and fled.
So all the disciples, they all took off running. So all these people that was just sitting here this same night, they having the feast. When it all came down to it, they took off and ran. All right, let's go to Matthew chapter 27. So we know what happened to him. We know he was tortured. I'm sorry. We need to read more in 26.
Yep.
Let's go to verse 69.
Okay. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 69. Now Kepha sat without in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, you also were with Yahushua of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him and said unto them that were there, this fellow was also with Yahushua of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by and said to Kepha, surely you also are one of them, for your speech bewrays you. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man, and immediately the cock crew. Kepha remembered the word of Yahushua, which said unto him, before the cock crow, you shall deny me thrice. And he went out and wept bitterly.
All right, so that's letting you know that's the same night. So that's the 15th of Abib on the true calendar. He's denied him 3 times. The cock is crowing, and now it's becoming to be the morning time of the 15th. So now let's go to chapter 27.
Okay, Matthew chapter 27, verse 1. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Yahushua to put him to death.
All right, so this is the morning now of the 15th, of the true Abib 15th. So the feast starts at that nighttime. All right, Tanshi.
And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then
All
Yehuda.
Right, hold on. Let's drop down. All right, let's drop to verse 45.
Okay, Matthew chapter 27 and verse 45. Now from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour.
All right, so from the 6th hour. So the 6th hour is about noonish. So from noon to 1 p.m. is the 6th hour. So from the 6th hour to the 9th hour, the 9th hour is about 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. So there's now darkness from noon all the way into the 9th hour. And that's actually prophecy as well. That's in I believe that's in Amos. Tamshi?
Verse 46. And about the 9th hour, Yahushua cried out with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, that is to say, my El, why have you forsaken me? Some of them that stood there, when they heard that, said, this man calls for Eliah. And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, let it be. The rest said, let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him. Yahushua, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the spirit.
All right, so verse 50. So Yahushua has now died. They have now killed the Passover lamb. Now, keep in mind, this is from the 6th hour until the 9th hour. The 9th hour is what begins Hebrew evening. Now the sun is leaving even and going down into night for the next day to start. So this is the time where on the preparation day, where you're supposed to be killing the Pesach lamb. You can only kill them on that third portion of the day, which is given to the night. And Jubilees breaks that down in more detail. So he's giving up the ghost. So he's dying right now at about 3 to 4 p.m. around that time. So let's go, which would be their lunar 14th. This is still the 15th, the real 15th, but this is the Jewish 14th because that's their preparation day. So I'm going to stop that real quick. I'm going to pull back up that graphic. We'll look at that graphic and we can follow it. All right, so you have on the 13th, he says, in 2 days is the Pesach, Matthew 26:2. Then the even was come, hey, where are we going to keep the Pesach? All right, so the even is come. Now you're going into your 14th day. All right, so you have your 14th, the preparation day. Where are we going to keep the Pesach? Then the even has came again, and now they're actually having their feast. So that's a Wednesday. Tuesday night is when they had the feast. And Wednesday during the daytime portion, which is still the 15th, that's when Kepha denies Yahushua 3 times. He dies after 3 p.m. in the 9th hour, Matthew 27:46. So all of this is happening in a Babylon Wednesday during the daytime. The feast was Tuesday night. They grabbed him at the night right after the feast, and he's killed on that Wednesday during the daytime. So he's fulfilling prophecy by being killed on their day, on their preparation day. The real preparation day happened earlier because they kept the feast already. So you can't both have the same calendar if they're doing things differently. So if they're doing things differently and the Jewish people are doing it one way, the people that are responsible for killing Mashiach, and Mashiach is doing it another way, I think it's foolish to believe that the Jewish people were doing it the right way and then Christ just did it early because he knew he was going to die. That doesn't add up. All right, so let's go back to the scripts. We're going to follow this timeline. So he yielded up the ghost. All right. Tom Sheep.
Okay, Matthew chapter 27 and verse 51. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in two from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. And the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose, and came out of the graves after his resurrection, and went into the holy city, and appeared unto many. Now when the centurion and they that were with him watching Yahushua saw the earthquake And those things that were done, they feared greatly, saying, truly, this was the son of Yahweh. And many women were there beholding afar off, which followed Yahushua from Galilee, ministering unto him, among which was Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's children. When the even was come, there came a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who also himself was Yahushua's disciple.
All right. So remember, he died in the 9th hour. So the 9th hour is between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. So when 4 p.m. comes, that's even. That's the even marker. Anything after that is evening, because now you're growing into beginning the next day. So he has, from that period of time, to grab Yahushua and to bury him, because the next day was going to be the Jewish 15th, was going to be the beginning of their feast day. That's why they said, that's why they took him on the true 15th and said, well, we got to get him on the preparation, because we can't do this on the feast day, which is going to be after he's burying him on this day. Verse 58.
He went to Pilate and begged the body of Yahushua. Then Pilate commanded the body to be delivered. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn out in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. And there was Mary Magdalene and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. Now the next day that followed.
Let's stop right there. All right, so let's go to Ashley. No, go ahead, continue. My bad.
Okay, Matthew 27, verse 62. Now the next day that followed, the day of the preparation, the chief priests and Pharisees came together unto Pilate.
All right, so now you're on the feast day, because this is the next day following the preparation. So when Yahushua is being killed on their preparation day, that's the 14th. So the same time that Mashiach was dying on the torture stake in the 9th hour is the same time in Israel where the priests are getting ready to slaughter the Passover lamb, to prepare the Passover on preparation. The following day comes. Now you're on the Jewish 15th, because it's saying the next day that followed the day of preparation. But how can this be the 15th when Yahushua kept the feast on the 15th? Again, two different calendars. Verse 63.
Saying, Sir, we remember that the deceiver said, while he was yet alive, after 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore that the sepulchre be made sure unto the 3rd day, lest his disciples come by night and steal him away, and say unto the people, he is risen from the dead, so the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate said unto them, you have a watch, go your way, make it as sure as you can. So they went and made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting a watch.
All right, so they were well aware of the prophecy. They were well aware of his words that he said 3 full days and 3 full nights, just like Jonas. All right, so let's go to Matthew 28.
Matthew 28 and verse 1. In the end of the Shabbat.
Okay, so when does the Shabbat end?
Saturday evening.
Right, Saturday night. So soon as Saturday ends and night comes in, that's the end of the Shabbat. It's still a Babylon calendar Saturday, but for Hebrews, that's when Sunday starts. That's when the first day starts. So this is the end of the Shabbat. So we know it's from Saturday night on, and now it's a comma. It says, as it began to dawn to the first of the week. the first daytime portion of the week. So that's letting you know it's the morning. So this is Sunday morning. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for the angel of Yahweh descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone from the door and sat upon it. His countenance was like lightning, and his raiment white as snow. And for fear of him, the keepers did shake and became as dead men. And the angel answered and said unto the women, Fear not you, for I know that you seek Yahweh, which was impaled. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, see this place where the master lay, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he is risen from the dead. And behold, he goes before you into Galilee. There shall you see him. Lo, I have told you. And they departed quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, and did run to bring his disciples word. And as they went to tell his disciples, behold, Yahweh met them, saying, All hail. And they came and held him by the feet and worshiped him.
All right, so there's witness. So we know by Sunday morning, the body was gone. But at that same time, in Sunday morning, Yahweh is now revealing himself to the sisters. And look who he's revealing himself to first. Mary, the Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of Mashiach. So you have the two Marys. He's revealing himself to first, women. Read that last verse.
Verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Yahweh unto them, Be not afraid, go tell my brethren that they go into Galilee, and there shall they see me.
Verse 11.
Now when they were going, behold, some of the watch came into the city and showed unto the chief priests all the things that were done. And when they were assembled with the elders and had taken counsel, they gave large money unto the soldiers, saying, Say you, his disciples came by night and stole him away while we slept. And if this come to the governor's ears, we will persuade him and secure you. So they took the money and did as they were taught. And this saying is commonly reported among the Yahudim unto this day.
All right. And so this is the same thing that they're talking about to this very day. They're not reporting, oh, this man never died. This man never existed. Oh, he's fake. It's all made up. No, they just reporting, oh, his disciples came and took him. But right there, it's showing you the timeline. He rose on the first day, and they came and verified he was not there, and they paid people to lie. The same payment that people are taking this day to lie. All right, so let's stop right here real quick. Let's go back to the graphic, and we're going to see, was he 3 full days and 3 full nights? Because we know the Catholic rendition don't work. He couldn't die Friday and be 3 full days and 3 full nights and rise on Sunday. Nah, that don't add up. All right, so if we look here, Tuesday night, he had his Pesach meal. That's the true 15th. Wednesday, during the daytime, is when he was murdered. He had to be buried before Wednesday night, because Wednesday night would begin the Jews' unleavened bread. So here, Matthew 27 and 57, he's burying him before nighttime, because he can't be unclean by touching a dead body and then go make his offering on the 15th, because this is where all males appear. This is the first offering of the year. So he couldn't do that. So he had to bury him before night. So the first full night would be the Jewish 15th, which would be Wednesday night. That Wednesday night, that's night 1. Thursday during the daytime, day 1. Thursday night, night 2. Friday during the daytime, day 2. Friday night is your 3rd night, and Saturday all daytime is your day 3. He would be able to raise sometime in late in that evening time of Saturday before we're going into the first day. But he wasn't seen until the following morning, which would be Sunday during the daytime. That's when he was actually seen. So he fulfilled the scriptures 3 full days and 3 full nights, and was seen on the first day and rose on that first day. So this is right out of the accounts. It adds up perfect. So this is why our holy day calendar lines up perfect with Yahweh Shai did. He's the word. So if he had his feast Tuesday night for unleavened bread, that means our feast of first day of unleavened bread should be Tuesday night. But according to the Jewish calendar, they're keeping it on Wednesday night. And you still have some Hebrew assemblies that know the resurrection timeline, and they keep it Wednesday night because that's what the forefathers did, according to that Enoch calendar. So if you're using the Enoch calendar and you're following the holy days properly, and you're following the death and burial and resurrection of Yahweh Shai, it will line up perfect with the way he kept it on Tuesday night. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to, we're going to look at his resurrection. All right, Shabbat Shalom, Elder Zahar. Good to see you.
Shabbat Shalom, Elder.
All right, so I'm going to take this graphic down, and we're going to go back in here, and we're going to go ahead and look at him going from his birth, death, and resurrection, his death and his resurrection into the ascension. And matter of fact, let me pull that graphic up one more time. I want to show y'all something. This is why our elder Ben Mel is always talking about how Yahweh Shai from Revelations chapter 1, 2, and 3, how he's fulfilling the holy days. So we have here between the 14th and the 15th, on the 15th day, the true Abib 15, he's keeping Pesach. So he's fulfilling Passover right there. And Wednesday, that same day, the daytime portion, he's being killed. So that's fulfilling Pesach. Then on unleavened bread, their unleavened bread, he's laying a sinless man, an unleavened bread, the body, in the grave on the Shabbat. He's resting on unleavened bread. He's becoming our unleavened bread. He's fulfilling that season of unleavened bread. The next holy day that comes after that is what we have that starts tonight, which is Feast of First Fruits. But that doesn't just happen in the week of unleavened bread. The Jewish people keep that the following day. You have first day of unleavened bread, then the day after, the second day of unleavened bread, that's when they keep their Feast of First Fruits. He's still laying in the grave, 3 full days and 3 full nights. So how could he be representing the first fruits? He hasn't resurrected yet. So now we're going to follow the scripts, and we're going to take it all the way into Feast of First Fruits and show you why we keeping our Feast of First Fruits tonight. So let's go to John, Yohanan, chapter 20. Everything you should be able to follow in Leviticus 23, telling you exactly when you're supposed to keep your holy days. And your holy days are supposed to line up with that Torah, and it's supposed to line up with the death and resurrection and ascension of Mashiach. He's fulfilling all that. And after he goes into heaven, now the body is fulfilling things, which will be the next season, which is Pentecost. weeks. That's the season we're in right now, the church period, which is coming to an end. So we're going to John, Yohanan, chapter 20. And we're going to start this at verse 1. Did I share it? Let me share it. So we're at John chapter 20, Yohanan, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
John chapter 20, verse 1. The first day of the week comes, Mary Magdalene early, when it was yet dark, unto the sepulchre, and sees the stone taken away from the sepulchre. Then she runs and comes to Simon Kepha and to the other disciple, whom Yahushua loved, and said unto them, They have taken away the master out of the sepulchre, and we know not where they have laid him. Kepha therefore went forth, and that other disciple came to the sepulchre. So they ran both together, and the other disciple did outrun Kepha, and came first to the sepulchre. And when he stooping down and looking in saw the linen clothes lying, yet went he not in, then came Simon Kepha following him, and went unto the sepulchre, and sees the linen clothes lie, and the napkin that was about his head, not lying with the linen clothes, but wrapped together in a place by itself. Then went in also that other disciple which came first to the sepulchre, and he saw and believed. For as yet they knew not the scripture, that he must rise again from the dead. Then the disciples went away again unto their own home. But Mary stood without at the sepulchre weeping, and as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and sees two angels in white sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Yahushua had lain. And they say unto her, Woman, why weepest you? She said unto them, Because they have taken away my master, and I know not where they have laid him.
All right. So again, this is the first day of the week. This is a Babylon Sunday morning. Remember, it starts and lets you know it's late Saturday night. It's starting to become Sunday. The light ain't all the way out. It's starting to become morning. It's dawning towards Sunday. And she sees the body's gone, and she doesn't know that he resurrected yet. She's thinking they took him. So all this is still verifying that this is still the first day of the week. Tamshi?
Verse 14. And when she had thus said, she turned herself back and saw Yahushua standing, and knew not that it was Yahushua. Yahushua said unto her, Woman, why weepest you? Whom seekest you? She, supposing him to be the gardener, said unto him, Sir, if you have borne him hence, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away. Yahushua said unto her, Mary. She turned herself and said unto him, Rabboni, which is to say, Master. Yahushua said unto her, Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father, but go to my brethren, and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father, and your Father, to my Elohim, and your Elohim.
All right, so verse 17 is verifying on that first day of the week, he didn't go to the Father. He didn't just when he went into the grave, he went to heaven. No, he stayed in the grave. And when he rose up, he stayed on earth. He's letting her know, don't touch me. I have not ascended to my Father. I have not been waved before the Father. First fruits hasn't happened yet. He hasn't fulfilled it yet. So your first fruits cannot happen during the week of unleavened bread. He's showing you right here, I have not ascended for the Father. And as we continue reading, he's going to give an exact amount of days to let you know that had to pass before he ascended to the Father. Tamshi?
Verse 18. Mary Magdalene came and told the disciples that she had seen the master, and that he had spoken these things unto her. Then the same day at evening, being the first day of the week, when the doors were shut up where the disciples were assembled for fear of the Yahudim, came Yahushua and stood in the midst, and said unto them, Peace be unto you. And when he had so said, he showed unto them his hands and his side. Then were the disciples glad when they saw the master.
All right, so what people would do with verse 19, they'll try to say, look, the same that evening, being the first day of the week when the doors were shut, and they'll try to say, you know, the doors are shut on the days that you're not having Shabbat. And they'll try to say, they'll use that Mary in the morning to try to establish something saying that the Shabbat got to start in the daytime because it's showing you that the doors were shut and it was the morning dawning. Well, they were assembling regardless because you're still in the week of unleavened bread. So it's not just a regular Shabbat that passed. It's still during the week of unleavened bread. You still have 7 days of unleavened bread. Tamshi?
Verse 21. Then said Yahushua to them again, Peace be unto you, as my Father has sent me, even so send I you. And when he said this, he breathed on them and said unto them, Receive you the Holy Spirit. Whosoever sins you remit, they are remitted unto them, and whosoever sins you retain, they are retained. But Thomas, one of the 12, called Didymus, was not with them when Yahushua came. The other disciples therefore said unto him, We have seen the master. But he said unto them, Except I shall see in his hands the print of the nails, and put my finger into the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe.
All right, so he don't believe. The other disciples have seen Mashiach alive, but Thomas, he didn't believe. He had to see it for himself. So that's why they call him Doubting Thomas. So they always like to pull up that, you know, that little statement. I mean, would you believe? You ain't never seen nobody rise from the grave. So, you know, we always trying to knock him for not believing, but many of us are the same way. But there's an even more important verse coming up next. Verse 26.
And after 8 days, again his disciples were within, and Thomas with them. Then came Yahushua, the doors being shut, and stood in the midst, and said, Peace be unto you.
So this is an important point right here. We skip right over this. Verse 26 says, and after 8 days. That's important. That's a count. 8 days. So we got to go back and look at the calendar and see when this is happening and show you what happened right around those 8 days. Go ahead and continue.
Verse 27. Then said he to Thomas, Reach here your finger and behold my hands, and reach here your hand and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas answered and said unto him, My master and my Elohim. Yahushua said unto him, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed.
Praise Yah. Blesses those that have not seen but believe. We didn't see Yahushua. We weren't there. We didn't see him rise from the grave, but we believe and we publish his testimony. So that verse right there was real important about verse 26. And after 8 days, again, his disciples were within. So the first day they were all here and they all saw him when he appeared, the first day that he rose. And now it's saying 8 days later, now Thomas is finally seeing him. So let's pull up the calendar. I'm going to pull up the earthly calendar, the Babylon calendar. We're going to look at these dates real quick. So I'm going to pull up March and we're going to count days. So this is March 2022. So Monday, the 14th At night, you had 12 hours a night. Tuesday, the 15th of March, we had 12 hours a day. That's your equilux. That's your last day of the year. Tuesday night starts your Hebrew New Year. Tuesday night. So that's the 15th. That will bring you to the 14th, would be Monday, March 28th. That's when we had the preparation day. That starts that Monday night. Tuesday night is unleavened bread day 1. That's consistent with Mashiach having his feast Tuesday night. So we're matching him just like he's matching the calendar. That's a Sabbathon, no work. So we were off that Wednesday. So the Wednesday, the 30th, during that daytime, that's when Mashiach died. He died during that Wednesday, during the daytime. All right, so you fast forward that. Let's go ahead and go into April. Pull April up. All right, so now we fast forward to Saturday night, April 2nd. He would have rose that Saturday night. That would be right before Sunday. He was seen on that Sunday morning. So that would be Matzah day 6. Then Monday night, well, actually, that Sunday night, or anytime during that Sunday, he's telling them, according to John 20, hey, don't touch me. I haven't gone to the Father. He's telling, I haven't ascended to the Father yet. Thomas ain't seen him. The other disciples seen him, but Thomas ain't seen him. So you count the 8 days from that Sunday. You got 1, which is the last day of unleavened bread, Monday night. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will bring you around Sunday or Monday. All right. So this is the day after first fruits, because the morrow after the weekly Shabbat, which is here, the morrow after is Saturday night. That's first fruits. So he was waved before the Father and ascended to before the Father for first fruits. That's Saturday night, Sunday daytime. And after that Sunday, he was seen. He was seen by them. Right there. So he had his full 8 days so that he could have Feast of First Fruit, be waved before the Father, and allow Kepha to touch his ribs. So he fulfilled first fruits. So first fruits is him being the first fruits of them that slept. All right, so let's stop right there. Let's go to the conclusion. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and we're going to see second witness that Yahweh was our first fruits. So 1 Corinthians chapter 15 for the conclusion. And we're going to start this at verse 12. So he's fulfilling the holy days. He fulfilled Pesach by being that Passover lamb from our Passover. And we've read that in the scripts as well. He fulfilled unleavened bread by being a sinless man with no leaven, no sin, humble, not puffed up. And he laid with the sinners in death, in hell, for the Shabbat, for the Sabbathon of unleavened bread. So he fulfilled that. 8 days later, he's being seen. After the previous week, he said, don't touch me. I haven't been before the Father. I have not ascended. He made it clear that he has not ascended. 8 days later, right after Feast of First Fruits, he's like, hey, what's happening? I'm here. Touch me. Look, Spirits don't have flesh and bone. Notice he didn't say flesh and blood. He had that new body. He said spirits don't have flesh and bone. So he's the first fruits of that new body. That new body can shapeshift, where you can stand next to somebody and they can't even recognize you. They don't even know who you are. You can just get up and disappear and shoot off into the sky. That's that new body. That's not that regular body that we got. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, and we're going to read verses 12 through 23 for the conclusion.
Okay. Now, if Mashiach be preached that he rose from the dead, how say some among you that there is no resurrection of the dead? But if there be no resurrection of the dead, then how then is a Mashiach not risen? And if a Mashiach be not risen, then is our preaching vain, and your faith is also vain. Yea, and we are found false witnesses of Elohim, because we have testified of Elohim that he raised up Mashiach, whom he raised not up, if so be that the dead rise not.
All right, so we have the same debate going on right now. You have people that don't believe in the resurrection. The Sadducees didn't believe in the resurrection. The Pharisees believed in the scripts. They believed in the regeneration. And the regeneration is that same body being given life again, regenerating from bones to grow sinews and flesh and blood and become alive again. But you had some people that believed in reincarnation. Well, when you die, yeah, that's it for that body, but then you take up another body. And that's the same argument people still having to this day, but that's not scriptural. Reincarnation, you know, where you just be given a new, that's not scriptural. He's saying regeneration. You are going to regenerate. Christ regenerated. It didn't come in some other guy. He jumped in somebody else's body and walked around and said, that's me. Hey, it's me. Tamshi?
Verse 17. And if a Mashiach be not raised, your faith is vain, you are yet in your sins. Then they also which are fallen asleep in Hamashiach are perished. If in this life only we have hope in Hamashiach, we are of all men most miserable. But now is Hamashiach risen from the dead and become the first fruits of them that slept.
There you go. Mashiach risen from the dead and became the first fruits of them that slept. When you do first fruits, you're supposed to wave a omer of ephah, something like that, omer or ephah of your first fruits, the best of your crop. And it was a specific weight. It wasn't whatever you got. It was a specific weight of your best, honoring the Most High that I got this fruit through you. You gave this to me. I'm giving you the best. If somebody gave me $100 and I got to spend that $100 amongst everybody, and that person's right there, they the first person that's supposed to get a portion. You're the one that provided everything. So being that Mashiach was the first fruits of YAH, the firstborn, the first creature created, the first light in the beginning, he became the first fruits in the flesh to come from the dead, from those that slept, and became our first fruits and fulfilled the feast of first fruits. So now that he became that first fruits offering, there is no better offering than he offered. That's why we can't offer the Passover lamb. There's no better offering than a sinless man. There's no better first fruits offering than the perfect man. So that means we're part of his offering if we're part of his body, which means we move how he moved. We move according to the commandments. We move according to righteousness, according to Yah's will. And when we make our offerings, we're copying, emulating his offering. We offering ourselves. The best we can offer is us. That's the best we can do. I can't offer anything better than that. And then symbolically, we offer through our money that we offer up into the ministry, through our produce that we'll give out to the homeless. And we make those offerings, but it never supersedes the true offering, which was Mashiach. He's the head, we're the body. So to be covered by that offering, then we have to be part of that offering as the body.
Verse 21, 1 Corinthians chapter 15. For since by man came death, by man came also the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, even so in Hamashiach shall all be made alive. But every man in his own order, Mashiach the first fruits, afterwards they that are Hamashiachs at his coming.
Praise
Then
Yah.
comes the end.
So so we'll stop right there. So every man in his own order, Mashiach the first fruits. So that's the first fruits. And then you're going to have Mashiach's first fruits, the 144 that's going to be with him at his coming. So that's what we're representing now. We have the Feast of First Fruits, which begins tonight. For those of us that have produce, that grow food, you're supposed to have a omer of that set aside. That's supposed to be weighed before the Father. So again, we don't have no high priest here on earth. Mashiach's our high priest. So the priest of the house or the priest of your assembly can take your offering, and then you're supposed to take that offering. You're supposed to give it to the poor, to the stranger, to the widows, to the fatherless, and then you feast. You have a feast with your family. So that's what's going on tonight. It's not a Sabbath-on, so it's a regular work day. You can go to work, you can, purchase, do everything, but you're supposed to make that offering before the Father. Get together, men of your house, and you go before the Father and you confirm your offering that you are in the body of Mashiach, that you are a slave to Christ, that you are under his covenant, the covenant of the Most High YAH, and that you're covered under his blood. So that's all we're going to do today. Do we have any last questions or comments before we close?
So,
matter of fact, go ahead, bro.
No, just one question. So this is not first fruits is not the same as the appearances from the other holy days.
No, because remember, first fruits